Welcome to Compound Thought. Today, we're diving into the brilliant mind of Charlie Munger. For decades, he was the indispensable partner to Warren Buffett at Berkshire Hathaway, the master of multidisciplinary thinking who helped shape their legendary success. This book, Poor Charlie's Almanack, isn't your typical biography. Think of it more like a treasure chest, packed with his most powerful ideas on how to think clearly, avoid foolish mistakes, and live a more rational, effective life. To really get a feel for how Munger thinks, we're not going to start with some dry formula. Nope, we're going to start with a story. So let me introduce you to a retail merchant named Patterson, whose business was in some serious trouble.
Here's the deal with Patterson. His business was just bleeding money. And the reason? It was infuriatingly simple. His own employees were stealing right from the cash drawer. It was this quiet, constant drain that was slowly killing his business.
Then one day, out of the blue, a salesman shows up with his brand new invention. It's a pretty crude-looking machine, but it's called a cash register. On the surface, it just looks like another piece of equipment, right?
But here's the thing. The real genius of this machine wasn't just holding cash, not at all. Its true purpose was creating accountability. It was basically a system of incentive control, and it was brilliantly designed to make stealing incredibly difficult.
And boom! Just like that, Patterson's store flips from losing money to making a profit. Now, you'd think most people would just stop right there, happy they fixed the problem. But Patterson, he saw something bigger. He had this flash of insight. He wasn't just thinking about his store anymore. He was thinking about every store. He realized the real money wasn't in retail. It was in the cash register business itself.
Now, that kind of thinking, that flash of genius, that wasn't just a lucky guess. It's the product of a really powerful way of thinking that Munger talks about all through this book. And we're going to break it down by looking at 4 of his core ideas: building a latticework of models, understanding the psychology of misjudgment, his unique investing philosophy, and the ultimate advantage of deserved trust.
All right, let's kick things off with what is probably Munger's most fundamental idea, the latticework of models. And look, this isn't just about being book smart. It's about building a powerful, multidisciplinary framework to see the world as it really is.
Munger has this famous saying that just nails it. To the man with a hammer, the world looks like a nail. He says this is a dumb way of handling problems. And it perfectly captures the danger of having a narrow mindset. If you only have one tool, if you're an economist, an engineer, whatever, you'll try to solve every single problem with that one tool, even when it's totally the wrong one for the job.
So how do you avoid that man with a hammer problem? Well, you need more tools in your mental toolbox. That's where mental models come in. A mental model is just a simple idea that helps explain how the world works. And Munger's big idea was that you can't just learn these things from one field. You've got to go out and grab the biggest, most important ideas from all the major disciplines and then weave them together in your head into what he calls a latticework.
And listen, this isn't about becoming a world-class expert in everything. That's impossible. It's about getting the core concepts. Think about the incredible power of compounding from mathematics, or the idea of redundancy and backup systems from engineering, or how about advantages of scale from microeconomics? When you start to hang your real-world experiences on this kind of multidisciplinary latticework, you start to see the world with a clarity that most people just completely miss.
Okay, so speaking of that latticework, one of the absolute most critical fields you need to pull from is psychology. Munger was convinced that if you don't deeply understand your own mind, you basically become your own worst enemy when you're trying to think rationally.
So let me ask you, how rational do you really think you are? Munger actually cataloged 25 standard causes of human misjudgment. And these aren't character flaws, okay? They're mental shortcuts that evolution hardwired into our brains. I mean, they worked great when we were out on the savannah, but in the modern world, they can lead to some truly disastrous decisions.
Let's take a look at a few. You've got the reward and punishment tendency, which just shows how powerfully incentives drive us. Like Munger says, whose bread I eat, his song I sing. Then there's inconsistency avoidance. This is why we hate to change our minds, even when we get new evidence. Charles Darwin was so aware of this, he actually forced himself to immediately write down any fact that contradicted his theories, because he knew his brain would just try to forget it. And then there's the deprival superreaction tendency. This is why we panic and sell our stocks in a market crash. The pain of losing something feels way, way more intense than the pleasure of gaining the same amount.
And you know what? Understanding these biases is the absolute key to unlocking Munger's approach to investing, which is pretty much the exact opposite of the crazy frenzy you see on Wall Street. He has a great name for it: sit on your ass investing.
This chart really lays it all out, doesn't it? On one side, you have the typical investor, constantly trading, chasing the latest trend, reacting to every single headline. Munger's approach, it's the polar opposite. We're talking about long periods of doing absolutely nothing, just reading, learning, and waiting with extreme patience. He's not diversifying into 100 different things. He waits for that one rare, incredible opportunity, and then he goes in big with conviction.
Warren Buffett has a fantastic analogy for this. He says to imagine your entire investment life is a punch card with only 20 punches on it. You'd think very, very carefully before you took a swing, right? Munger believed that great investment ideas are just that rare. The game isn't about frantic action. It's about recognizing that perfect pitch when it comes and then having the guts to bet heavily. As he puts it, good ideas are rare. When the odds are greatly in your favor, bet, allocate heavily.
Okay, so finally, all of these ideas we've talked about, thinking rationally, being patient, understanding our own biases, they all lead up to what Munger considered the absolute bedrock of success in business and in life, building what he called a seamless web of deserved trust. And his guiding principle here is so simple, but it's incredibly powerful. He says, you want to deliver to the world what you would buy if you were on the other end. Think about that. He believed the most effective, most sustainable way to succeed is to just operate with total integrity. No loopholes, no cutting corners, just make the thing you'd want to buy if you were the customer.
So how do you actually build this web of trust? Well, it really boils down to a few core actions. 1, be relentlessly reliable. Do what you say you're going to do, consistently. 2, actively avoid situations with what he calls perverse incentives, systems that reward stupid or unethical behavior. 3, just tell the truth. As Munger famously said, you won't have to remember your lies. And finally, live with integrity. The whole goal is to become the kind of person that other people can trust without a second thought. In Munger's world, that's not just good morals. It's the smartest, most durable form of success there is.
And that's really it. That's the Munger playbook in a nutshell. A powerful system for thinking more clearly and making way better decisions. Build that latticework of mental models from all kinds of different fields. Know your own psychological biases so you can fight back against them. Practice extreme patience until you see a truly great opportunity, and then act decisively. And above all else, build a life and a business on a seamless web of deserved trust.
But look, the real value in all of Munger's wisdom isn't just about knowing these ideas, it's about actually using them. So I want to leave you with a challenge, a question to really think about. What is the most foolish error you keep making in your own life? And what single mental model, maybe from psychology, maybe from economics, it doesn't matter. What single model could help you start to fix it?
Thanks for watching Compound Thought. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like and let us know your thoughts in the comments. Share it with a friend and subscribe so you never miss the next video. We'll see you next time.